Welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler, and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily investor, Barry Griffiths. Now today we're joined by Jason Stubblefield. How you doing, Jason?
Hey, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Don't worry. I'm not going to chokeslam you. You look a little worried.
Please don't.
It's a little tough over a Zoom call, so it's all good. Hey, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, man. I really appreciate it. Me and Jason, he hosts the mastermind group that I've been part of, which has been phenomenal. So he's part of what's pushed me to really go out there and do these interviews and really push this YouTube channel. So I'm super grateful for you putting that group together, having me part of it, and also, holding me accountable and pushing me to do this. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for that, man.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you. This is awesome. I'm glad to see you making moves, man.
Thank you. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your background and where you at with real estate right now?
Yeah, sure. So I'm from a small town in Tennessee, about 10,000 people, grew up from there, wanted to sort of do something different, really didn't have a passion to go to school. So I joined the Marine Corps, spent 4 years there. After that, I figured I need to go get an education. So I went to college, got a degree in computer science, started developing software. Did that for a while, and then I got into real estate. So sort of typically how you start off with single family, did a few of those, got some appreciation, and I was just really looking about what I could do next, right? I wanted to make another move. And that's when I got into the multifamily world, really found out about this space with the distressed 34-unit apartment building that I bought. Bought that, renovated, learned a ton. And since then, that's been it, man. Multifamily has been my thing.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool story. So I don't think I was too aware that you were in the Marine Corps. So first of all, thank you for your service, man. And I think that's awesome that you were able to do that. I'm sure there was, as we're focusing on real estate here, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that you learned in those 4 years that now help you with your real estate career. Are there things that you think of that back to your time in the Marines that definitely set you up for success?
There's always going to be just foundational stuff, like having persistence, treating people right, having a certain level of integrity about yourself. Those type of things transfer over again, but it's two different worlds, Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So you, what does your current portfolio consist of?
So I'm a little over 900 units. Those assets are in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Texas. We're also looking to grow the portfolio in Georgia and Alabama coming up soon. So that's where we're at and still looking to grow.
Okay, so you said 900 units, right?
Yes.
What was your first purchase?
So the first was that 34-unit dog property, that I kind of got my knees scraped and learned everything on. That was the first.
Okay, very cool. Well, I think that's a good place to start. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it? Where was it? What attracted you to the deal? Maybe a little bit about the numbers.
Yeah, sure. So I was let's see. I was just looking right over in areas where I'm from. So I was living in the Washington, D.C. area. And so I wasn't investing in the D.C. area just because the prices were a lot higher. But for me, being from Tennessee, I was already comfortable in that market. So I was looking down there for properties. I saw this. It had been on the market for a long time. It was actually listed with a residential real estate agent, not even a commercial broker. They underpriced it, which was good. And there was just a lot of potential. So it was about 50% occupied, but it supported itself off of this 50%. And so I had just been reading some books and kind of knew that, all right, knowing the power of the cap rate, if I was able to renovate the other half of this building and turn around, that there was a chance to make a decent amount of profit there. So I bought it. I structured the deal where I got 25. Well, I had to come up with 25% of the property. I got 75% loan to value from a bank. Also got a little bit of seller subsidy to go along with that. And then I did the rest and also the renovations on
Okay, very interesting. So you said it was listed with a residential real estate agent. How did you find it? And was it listed on the MLS?
it. It wasn't on the MLS. It was on realtor.com, right? So I was just going in there changing the search criteria to multifamily, seeing what I could come up with. And usually you get the fourplexes, the duplexes, the stuff like that. But this was just sort of sitting there like an eyesore, just kind of standing out amidst all these properties. But yeah, and finally I just called the agent and try to learn a little bit more about it.
Wow. So at that point, you had no real experience with multifamily properties.
No, nothing, precise, right? I've done things as far as like um, be in certain Facebook groups, and I had taken a few coaching programs and read some books, but I hadn't done anything. I knew just about enough to be dangerous, I guess.
Just enough to buy the deal, and
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
what did you buy it at, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so this was 34 units at $325,000.
Wow.
Yes. So it was one of those things like, wow, why is this property so cheap? But it was also all studios, and when I say it was distress, it was it was pretty bad. I mean, I really felt bad for the people who were living in those conditions, right? Because you're talking older carpet, you're talking stains, people smoking in the building. It had like the stench with it that you lived there because you had to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then you went in, and so you said it was 50% occupied. So you started with those empty units, I'm guessing. So what kind of renovation budget did you have for this? And how do you when you went? So you made an offer. Did you make you made an offer at list price, got accepted, and then you started the inspection period? So when you did the inspection period, or before you made the offer, did you have a contractor walk the units with you? So you had an idea of the budget, or did you come up with that?
No, Barry, no, I didn't even do that, right? So
Okay.
I walked it. I did have an inspector, right? But I got a uh, a residential inspector.
Okay.
Right, so I'm doing like always. Just give me a residential inspector who charged me. I don't know. He made a pretty nice penny off of it because he's charging me like 34, single family
Yeah.
inspection. But
Yeah.
I didn't know any better, about getting a general contractor and just going out. So I just got a regular inspector and we went through all the units. That was in the contract, along with some other things that were sort of specific to the commercial world. But for the most part, I was just out there, doing the best I could with what I thought to be accurate knowledge at the time.
So you had no idea what the renovation budget was going to be going into it.
I did suspect that, and thanks for bringing me back to that too. I did suspect that it was going to be around 5,000 a unit, and that's about what we came in at. But it was more of a trial and error sort of thing. So I really focused on the interior of the units, and then I had some exterior, but my numbers were wrong.
Okay. Way wrong, or for the on the
Um, it was it wasn't way off, but it was off enough, where we had to go do some things. So there were plenty of surprises that came along with this, right? Because my idea was I'm just going to renovate the other half of the building. It's going to look great. I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to refinance. I'm going to get all my money back, and everything's going to be fine. But what happened is, and before I could rehab the other half of the building, the half that was filled with people that was supporting itself started to leave. So, you go in, you start asking people to pay rent, and then I was like, I'm out of here, right? So people left, and people just weren't paying, and so there was a struggle on that side. And so when it comes to the amount of money, the amount of repairs that was needed, it was like this growing funnel because before we could renovate a new unit, the old unit would come up, And then in order to get somebody into that, you had to renovate that too. So yeah, it was interesting.
You went in at the deep end, I guess. Then it's fair to say.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
guess you could say
that's how
that.
you learn, and I respect that a lot. You know, it was you weren't even ready, fire, aim. It was fire, ready,
Yeah.
which is great. You know, that's you've got to take action. You took massive action. So how much did you? I don't know if you kept a track. Do you know how much the total renovation budget was for the interiors and for the exteriors, and what kind of rent bumps were you able to get?
Yeah, so we didn't bump rents a lot. We probably bumped rents maybe $50 a unit. Not a lot there, but the real value add was just in decreasing the vacancy, right? So just taking that 50% vacancy down to like where it is now, which is like 93%, right? So once we did that, that's where the bulk of the revenue was made at.
And then how was that process? So how did you end? What was your business plan? So you said initially your business plan was to keep the 50% occupied, renovate the other 50, and then obviously lease that up to as much as possible, and then refi or sell. But
Right.
do you know how low your occupancy dropped, and then how did you handle that, and then how did you end up changing your business plan?
Yeah, so I don't have the numbers in front of me to know how low it got to, but we were we had some definitely some challenging months in there. The way that the business plan changed was just we had to go in and start renovating old units first. And so I knew then that the money I had set aside to go renovate these units wasn't going to work, right? So my budget wasn't necessarily blown out of the water because of what it would cost per unit, but I had more units than I initially was prepared to do. And so with that, what I did was like, okay, people aren't going to live here as long as this building is called the same thing, as long as it looks the same way. So we went in, we changed the name, we changed all the common areas, we made everything look presentable and definitely turned it around from an external perspective. And then we were going in doing units as they came in. We had to get creative in order to find the extra money. So at this point, I mean, I was in there now. So I ended up using like um, money out of my retirement account, money that I didn't really expect to have to put into the property. And we also were able to get a refinance afterwards, after we bought the deal, in order to get us some more capital to put in to keep going.
Okay. And how far was this property from where you live?
It was about a 10-hour drive.
Okay, so how often would you get out there?
Um, I wasn't going that often at all.
So
Yeah.
you must have had a good team out there.
Um, I did. I had a good team. I didn't have an experienced team though.
Okay.
So in this, it's my dad is the property manager, and
Okay.
so we knew nothing about managing property, right? But I was like, I'm gonna need a property manager. I made some phone calls. I couldn't really find somebody because it's in one that kind of like in the no man's land where it's too big for the small guys, but too small for the big guys to manage it. And then I was just like, well, my dad's around, let me see if he'd be interested. So we just kind of put together a management team, organization, whatever you want to call it, and try to make it work. Right?
Wow, that's really cool. How did
Yeah.
that process go? Did that
Uh,
put a strain on your dad's relationship?
apparently, I like stress, man. Apparently, I do, man. But it was definitely a learning experience, because I had nothing. I'm like Googling leases, putting documents together, really just trying to learn as much as we can about how to operate multifamily apartment really make it like a business. And that's one thing that probably helped me is like I knew that it needed to be a business, right? I didn't necessarily have the business intact, but I knew that I needed to have systems in place. And yeah, we looked to make that happen.
Very cool, very cool. And then, so you still own that? You bought it for 325, you said?
Yes.
What do you think it's worth now?
So our latest appraisal was somewhere around 800. a little over 800,000. So it allowed me to refinance the property and pull all that capital back out.
Wow. It was, it ended up being, you had no money, you have no current money in the deal.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, right? So now I own it with no money out of my pocket, and it still produces income monthly.
Wow. Great deal. Great deal. It ended up being a great deal, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It took a while to get there, but yeah, we totally
But
right.
in a lot of ways, not only financially, but also in terms of a learning curve as well. I'm sure, doing it like that, you must have learned so much. So going forward, even if you don't have your own management company, if you don't, you outsource the contracting or whatnot, you've learned so much from that that you know what to look for and how to handle it.
Yeah. Well,
Very cool, very cool. So then I think you believe you said the second property you bought was how many units?
so that was a 48 unit.
Okay. How did that come about? And where is that in the same area?
So it's about an hour away from the other property. And at the time that I bought it, I was still relatively early on in the renovations of the first property.
Okay.
So all my capital was really deployed right there, and I'm looking at it. But it got to a point where the systems were working. I wasn't doing a lot day to day, and so I just had the real estate bug. I wanted to continue to buy and grow the portfolio, and that's how I learned about syndication. So I remember like I asked a group of people who were in the space like, what should I do? I'm just sitting here on my hands waiting on this refinance to happen before I can buy something else. And it was like it's better to just partner with other people and do more deals. So that led me to go try to learn about the syndication model, how it worked, and then after that, that's when I got a coach. I said I need somebody who is smarter than me, who's been doing this longer than me, to look over my back because I knew I made mistakes with my own money and I didn't want to make any mistakes with other people's money. So got trained on it, got the 48 unit, and then we executed the business plan on that too.
Cool. What was the story on the 48 unit? Why did you like it? How did you finance it? You said you got private investors involved with you, passive investors. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so this one I found out because after I bought the first one, I sent out a email blast, right, to just a bunch of brokers and told them, hey, I bought these units, I'm looking to buy some more, send me anything that you have. And one of the properties ended up being this 48 unit. I liked the deal just because it had a lot of potential, almost the same thing as the 34 unit, but it wasn't distressed, right? This one was already like 90, maybe 96% occupied, so that made me feel better. But the units were old; they needed a lot of work. Um, Interiors needed to be redone, and there was room to bump the rent. So it was a classic value add deal.
Hmm. And then you brought. So do you buy that mostly with using the syndication model?
I did, yep.
So how many investors did you bring on for that?
For that, we had to raise about $500,000 for it, and I had roughly about nine investors.
Okay, nice, nice. And I'm sure with that one, the lessons learned on the first property, you were able to apply to that one, or was it too early on from the other property to?
No, it's always learning, right? So I was a little bit smarter, right, from the experience I had, and then I was also surrounded by some other people that could guide me in the areas where I wasn't as smart at. And I mean, I would advise anybody to do that if you're serious about doing anything, right? Just try to put yourself in a group, a network of other people who are doing the same thing and have more experience than you. So that was a big help on the second. It had a different set of challenges, but um, we're learning with it. Not as much as the first one.
Oh, cool. And on this one, did you use Dad Property Management Limited, or did you use?
No, no. So then I went and got some professional property management.
Okay, so do they manage both properties, or who manages the first one?
No. My dad still manages that one, but then I got another management company for the 48
Okay, okay.
unit.
And then with that one, did you go ahead and use contractors to get an idea of the renovation budget for that one, or was that one kind of going in a little blind as well?
No, so the way I did that one is the way I do it now, right? So you go in with the property management team while you're doing the inspection, and you also bring your general contractors with you. So when we're doing the walkthrough, I'm not paying some home inspector, whatever it is per unit. I'm paying professionals who would actually renovate these units themselves, a property management company who's seen similar units, right? And they can go through and give me an estimate. Hey, it's going to take $6,000 to renovate this unit, or something that's a little bit more accurate when we're doing that. So we did the inspection. It checked in with about what I thought it would cost to renovate the units, and that's how we started moving forward with it.
Great. And then how much did you buy that one for, and then how much do you think now?
Yeah, that was 1.2 million. We actually just got it appraised and refinanced it. It appraised for 2.375.
Nice.
Just a few months ago.
Wow, so that was a home run then.
I would call it a home run, but it was nice. It was a nice deal.
And then how did you set it up with the investors, with the passive investors? What did you set up a preferred return? Did you just set up, how did you set that up?
No, so we didn't do a pref on that. It was a straight 70-30 split. Yes, with 30 to the general partnership, 70 to the.
So any cash flow that comes in, the general partnership gets 30%. After everything is paid, the passive investors get 70%, the limited partner.
Yeah, got it. And
then on the refi, you guys did the same deal, or how did you work that out?
Yeah, I was trying to keep it simple, right? So just 70-30, all income, even with the refinance. Well, actually with the refinance, the investors get all the proceeds until 100% of their capital is returned. And then anything after that is what we would split on a 70-30.
Okay. Very cool deal. Congrats, man. You're doing it. Getting in at the deep end for sure. So, but that just goes to show you that, if you're resourceful and you're willing to do whatever it takes, you can dive in at the deep end and you can still swim, So that's a really cool story for anyone out there who's looking at multifamily. Don't be scared, just because of the size of the number of the units, you can do it for sure, if you're ready to put in the work.
Well, definitely.
Yeah. Cool. So you said that you have a total of 900 units. So what is it, the other units comprise of?
Yeah, so after that, again, every time I'm doing a deal, I'm surrounding myself with more people. And so just coming from that network, you realize that there's other people who are doing a lot larger deals and that this is a team sport. So after the 48, right, I realized I never want to do a deal where I'm just the only person and I'm trying to do everything, because even though it can be lucrative and you learn a lot, it is stressful to do it that way. So I ended up partnering with other teams who were doing, these are where the assets are in Texas. So I would come in, bring a certain level of expertise, partner with them, and we share in the general partnership of those units. So they had more of the market knowledge, and then I was just able to assist them along that journey.
Very cool, very cool. And as you go, like you said, it's a team sport, and the more you're willing to partner up with people, the more you're going to grow. You can't do everything yourself, so it's great to see that. That's a lot of units, but again, with the right team in place and with the right mindset, you can grow exponentially. So
yeah,
very cool, very cool. So as this is called Wrestling with Real Estate, I thought I'd better incorporate some wrestling questions. So I'll start with it could be either a tough one or a hard one, depends, I guess, is what would your wrestling name be? If you were a wrestler, what would your wrestling name be?
That's a good one. I don't know if I have anything that's not corny. I would say the Stubster, man. Call me the Stubster.
Stubster? Okay. The Stubster. Yeah. Okay, so the Stubster's entering the ring.
Yeah.
When the Stubster's in the ring, what's been the biggest body slam the Stubster's taken while in the ring?
I had that 48 unit, but had a pretty good body slam on me.
What was that happened?
So while I was raising capital, it's my first time. I had a rather large investor who was going to put in, I don't know, I think about 200,000. that decided 1 week before closing that he wasn't going to invest.
Wow.
And that left me with a big hole to fill in a relatively short period of time.
And how did you fix that problem?
Well, I really just I scrambled. I think I found a little bit of money, and finally, we did an extension on the contract. But I came in one day and I just started looking at everything I had access to, right? So if I emptied out, my savings account, if I emptied out my 401k, I even went to my wife and said, hey babe, I'm trying to put together, X amount of dollars so we can close this deal. Like, it'll come back, right? Because I believe that the deal was solid, but I was willing to go all in just to get it and say, hey, we'll have to figure it out. But we did that, we closed it, and then afterwards we raised the amount of capital that we needed to get to where we wanted to go.
Right. And then you replenished all your funds after that.
Yes. Oh, I was happy when I gave it.
Those were sleepless nights, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
So all wrestlers have signature moves. What would be your signature move in real estate? What is your strength, I guess, is what?
If I'm gonna come off the top rope, you know what I mean? I'm coming down with a deal. I like trying to find deals that just make a lot of sense. I like the art of structuring them together and being able to cut out checks. That's nice.
So primarily the deal finder, that would be a signature move, right? The subster would be his signature move would be the deal finder.
Yeah,
we're building a character here. We're building a character.
Yeah, you like it. I need like a bandana on my head, and I should be doing this with my shirt off. You know what I mean? Like, get all the way into it.
I'll send you a pair of Speedos as well.
I'll pass.
So finally, was there a moment you were standing on the top rope, ready to jump, but you were scared? And what was it, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think with every time you're doing something new for the first time, it's always a little bit scary. Overcoming it was just having that enough knowledge, right? So if anybody's listening who's thinking about getting into the space or with anything, right, even in life, if you just have enough, right, you can't really get 100% of the way there. Like, I know everything. But if you can get, 80, 90% of what you think you need to know, then you just got to jump. You just got to jump and kind of go for it to make it happen. So that's what I did. And once you're in it, then you figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, you sink or swim, right? So I couldn't.
Yeah.
You just got to just jump in and do it. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Stubbs. I'm going to be happy not to call you that all the time.
That's funny.
Thank you so much, Jason, for taking the time today. Now, for anyone who's interested to interact with you, to hear more about you, to find out what you're doing, how can they get in touch, or where can they find you?
Sure. So SNS Capital Partners is my website. There's a form there that you can fill out. We'll, send you some information, find out about deals we're doing. We'll have a conversation, and we got to go from there.
Really cool. Really cool. Well, I'll link that in the description. Thank you again so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And we'll get together soon for the mastermind. So thank you very much, man.
Bear, I appreciate you, man. Good to have you part of the mastermind. And yeah, every time I see you, man, you make me want to go do some push-ups.
Thanks, man. Before you go, I wanted to extend an offer to you. It's a free 30-minute call with me. I love to talk about real estate, and I'd love to get to know any of you out there. So if you're interested in talking more about real estate with me, there's a link in the description below, and you can sign up there and find a time that works, and we can get on a call and we can talk about real estate, my favorite thing to do.